Hello and welcome to the CRM Zen Show, where we talk about all things Zoho. This is episode 228, recorded on Friday, December 9th, 2022. Near, far, wherever webinar. That's all I got, Tyler. I gave it my best, Celine Dion, and there we go. Anyway, from Zenatta Consulting, I'm Brett Martin.
And I'm Tyler Colt, and let's get right on into the show.
There you go. Well, it is Friday, December 9th, and as we go live here, Croatia has just defeated Brazil, which means productivity at Zenatta is going to plummet today. So for all of our clients out there, our Brazilian team is desperately dying right now. So our condolences to the Brazilian team, but congrats to Croatia. Nice victory there. They pulled it out at the end. It was a heartbreaker, just basically ripped the heart out of Brazil. If I twisted that knife enough, Tyler?
Sounds like it. Yeah, I think so.
Sounds like it. We're good. I think we're good there. Anyway, buddy, we have got a very busy week. This is one of those weeks where Zoho has dropped so much news on us. It's going to be a full show. So let's get right into it. We'll start with some news and events. Announcements and events. I don't really have any announcements. I will, I guess so. The Zenmys are coming up. It's going to be live on Wednesday, December 28th. That is where we announce the winners and the best Zoho applications for the year. We also do our complete year in review. If you have not voted, please go to events page, click on vote here, and vote for the Zenmys. I think it's on our homepage. We got banners everywhere. Please vote. We'd really like to get your thoughts on that. And if you head over to zenatta.com/events, that is where we keep track of all the events in the world of Zoho. Zoho People's got a meetup. There's a work drive recap coming up in December. The Zoho Show Year in Review. That's going to be a webinar being put on by Zoho. Zoho Sign 20. Look, all of the guys are doing kind of a whole review. That's kind of nice. The product teams are doing a bunch of 2022 reviews. Yeah, really, really cool. So anyway, head on over to zenatta.com/events and you can see all the events going on. And that is all leading up to our year-ending event on December 28th, the Zenmy Awards. That is a 2-hour show. It is everything that happened in all the world of Zoho, as well as the Zenmys and our take on things. So really, I look forward to that show every year, and we will be doing that. And with that, let's get right on into the news. Uh-oh. John's here. You know what that means, kids. That means that Zoho has dropped their complete finance updates for the entire month. So we like to have John Otta here, who is our director of all things finance here over at Zenatta. John, good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you guys as well.
So Zoho kind of did their, they do this every month. They drop all of the updates. So we kind of parsed them down. We're going to cover 3 here. I think it's going to be books, inventory, and expense were the ones that kind of drop. There's also an invoice one, but that kind of gets covered in the books roundup, I think. So exactly. With that, buddy, why don't we talk about what happened here with the Zoho books? What's new in December?
Yeah, so there's quite a lot new in the Zoho Finance Suite. Starting off, they've upgraded their multi-currency handling. So now, rather than just being able to assign one currency to a vendor or a customer, you're able to assign multiple currencies to them. So that's pretty cool. So if you're working with a vendor that you can pay in euros, dollars, rupees, you're able to kind of have that all parsed out for you. It's also cool too is if you actually go into the help document that they provided on the customer and vendor module in books, you can see all the outstanding invoices and purchase orders and the currency that they're based in as well. So it'll have that all kind of split out for you. Pretty cool feature here.
Very nice.
Yeah. Next up, they have multi-level group by options in reports. So what they mean by this is you're able to kind of customize what you're looking at in reports and then group it into further separations there. So if you look at the example that they're showing here, they're grouping it by customer, by date, and then by transaction type. So you'll see here all the invoices for that date are kind of grouped up in different layers there, and you're able to kind of look at all of that all at once now. To get to this, you'll just go to the Customize Report and use the Group By tab to kind of select what you want to do there.
Yeah, that's a nice update.
Next up is
We find a lot of people do kind of struggle with getting the reports they need out of Zoho Books. Obviously, when you connect it to Zoho Analytics, right, you can do whatever you want, but improving some of the ability to do custom reporting in there is going to be really nice for people that might not want to have to go into analytics just to get kind of like a simple summary table like this.
Yeah, super nice.
Exactly. Next up, edits are pushed to e-invoices. This is for the India version of books here. So if they've been pushed to the inventory receive portal, you'll be able to make changes to any invoice that hasn't been accepted or locked in there for you. Another huge thing right now is the integrating bank accounts using Plaid for US and Canada. So I know going back a couple months now, there was some issues with the Yodlee upgrade and trying to get that to version, I think like 3.0 now. So in addition to Yodlee, they're now using Plaid. So you can kind of go ahead and choose which one you want to use. So if you scroll down there a little bit, you'll see the bank provider. When you go to connect the accounts, you can use Plaid, Yodlee, or if you're in the kind of international version, you can use Token as well. If you would like to switch from the Yodlee connection to the Plaid connection, you'll want to deactivate the feed and reactivate it using the bank feed service provider as Plaid.
Got it.
Yeah, this is a pretty big update across the board. I mean, this is something that, Zoho, I would say the big, dark stain on Zoho Books this year has been all of the bank feed issues they had. There was the change, they were kind of slow to react to it. It broke all the major bank feeds for the most part were broken. It took months to fix this. And basically what they did is they fixed the Yodlee integration because that was the main one they'd been using all this time. In that process, in parallel, they were looking at Plaid. And anyway, I have tried both these. Plaid, if your bank is supported by Plaid, use Plaid. It is. It seems to be a much, much, much better integration. Do you find that as well, John?
Yeah, a lot of the smaller banks that were having some issues with Yodlee, we switched them over to Plaid as soon as it was available, and we're having. I haven't seen as many issues with the bank feeds anymore.
Fantastic.
Nice. Big shout out to Zoho. I'm sure that was a big project to build out this whole connection via Plaid. I know, obviously, users were eagerly awaiting this. So kudos to Zoho for getting that rolled out.
Yeah, and kudos to the Books team for doing this. I mean, not just resting and saying, "Hey, we fixed Yodlee, it's good to go." I mean, there were a lot. I'm really happy that they added this integration in as well. All right, and with that, let's move on to Zoho Inventory, John.
So first up, they are now introducing Zoho Inventory for Mexico. They've updated the compliance with Mexican VAT tax, so you'll be able to use inventory in Mexico. You just have to set your business location as the country as Mexico, and then that'll turn that on. And again, the advanced multi-currency handling kind of hand in hand with Zoho Books. You'll be able to, when you create invoices and purchase orders, you'll be able to use that multi-currency handling in inventory as well. They've added some new statuses for shipments. So you kind of have a little bit more information rather than just shipped and delivered. And this, I imagine, is going hand in hand with this next update. You can now track shipments from the client portal. So you'll be able to use those statuses to kind of relay that information to your customers and let them know where those shipments are.
Very nice.
Before any edits are now being pushed to the invoice registration portal as long as the invoice hasn't been locked in and paid. There's been some improvements to the UPS integration as well. So certain forms for custom clearance purposes are now going to be attached to the shipment and generated with the shipping label.
That's nice. I think that and that update to the portal are just huge.
Yeah.
This one, I mean, that really makes the portal much more useful in a lot of ways on the inventory side. I think thanks, super nice update. All right, and then lastly, John, we had some changes over on the expense side of things.
Yeah. So starting off, you can now bulk archive trips. So that's just helps clean up that report and trips, and just kind of hide the ones that are not active anymore. Any trips that have been closed, you'll be able to kind of select all of them and then archive them away for yourself. Next up after that, you're able to now split expenses within reports. So if you wanted to kind of upload maybe just a receipt for dinner, but your company wants to know, okay, how much of that was food versus alcohol, because alcohol sales were only going to refund or reimburse a certain amount for that. So now you'll be able to split that based off of the actual expense. Another new one is you can now create one trip. So if you're sending multiple employees to the same trip, they'll be able to use that one trip to associate all the expense reports to. You'll have to turn on this option by going into the trips module there and allowing it. But that way you can just create one trip if multiple employees, like I said, are going to the same place, and they'll be able to log all their expenses against that. The next one is they now have a mandate travel profile. So if you are using your admin to book your travel and you need to have your passport number, driver's license, and they're booking it for you, you can require that now for your employees.
Nice.
Let's see here. And as Tyler mentioned before, with kind of the out-of-the-box reporting, to make it more customizable, they've added some custom status filters to the expense reports as well. So instead of just having reimbursed, approved, rejected, you can have a couple more options here to kind of let your employees know what's going on. Next up, they're supporting electronically protected health information. So in compliance with HIPAA, if there's anything on the expense reports that could be used to identify an individual, you can now protect that information using the specialty field there.
Wow.
And the last
a lot of
up
updates
is
this month, huh?
Oh, I'm sorry, what was that?
I said a lot of updates this month across the board.
Yeah, a lot of finance updates here.
So,
the
John,
last one here is
you've
bulk
been at
per
this for a
diem
long
for
time,
iOS.
and with expense, historically, we've kind of talked to clients and have said, look, this is, especially companies that are coming off something like Concur, right, where they've been using that for a long time, and it was kind of expense was missing a lot of key features. But as the last year and a half, if they made these changes, you feel it's kind of getting on parity with some of the bigger expense tools that are out there.
Yeah, definitely. They've updated a lot of options here, and it's kind of making it easier to use, more customizable, and just making it kind of on par.
Yeah, when I look at updates like this and I see they're supporting, EPHI, that's a big one you have to have. When I see you now have the ability to allow other travelers to associate trips, right? That's just something you kind of need to do. And then, the bulk archiving, all that kind of stuff. In the past, there was just a lot of extra clicks and a lot of filtering and support and things that just weren't, really didn't work. So it seems like they've addressed just a ton of those as years gone on.
Yeah, so big shout out to the finance team here.
Fantastic. All right, John. Well, thanks, buddy. We'll see you next month.
Thanks, John.
All right, Todd. And with that, let's get on with the rest of the news, shall we? So, minor enhancements to sending surveys via Zoho CRM. So basically, if you're unfamiliar, you can do the integration between Zoho Survey and Zoho CRM. When you send out a survey, it can auto-populate certain things of that survey, like the person's name, various other data, and then, of course, associate that record with them. So they now have made an enhancement that makes it easier for you to send a survey from a record because of the way that you're basically able to select the survey. In the past, it was kind of a little difficult to pick the right survey to attach and
Yeah.
send.
And the
Now they're just
problem
making
the
this
problem really was
little
just that it
easier.
would show you all surveys that were in the
Right.
entirety of your Zoho survey account. But a lot of people will group them into departments, right? Like this is a marketing survey, this is a customer service survey, but the user would just have to scroll through. So for like users who have, 2 or 3 surveys in there, no big deal. But for people that have dozens, being able to just organize those is going to make life a lot easier.
Yes. Very, very nice. And then moving on, embedded signing within Zoho Sign. This is a long time coming, and this is a pretty big update from the blog team here. But basically, you can now sign on device, which is something wanted to have for a long time with Zoho Sign.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah, I mean, so what this means is, normally if you've got a mobile app, you're handing someone an iPad, they really weren't able to sign using Zoho Sign. You kind of had to click through and go through that. This is basically allowing you to embed the sign features directly into these documents, and it's just it's nice. So we got to play around with this, but this is something a lot of people have asked for. If you're in a doctor's office, you're somewhere, you just want to kind of hand them an iPad. They can do it on their phone. They can do it all right there. So pretty nice. Good update from the Zoho Sign team. All right. And then Zoho's all-in-one virtual event platform, Zoho Webinar, a comprehensive webinar platform for everyone on your team. So Tyler, webinar used to be part of meeting, correct?
Yep.
And now they've
And it's
broken it
not
into its own product?
Yeah, from what I understand, they're not removing the webinar features from Zoho Meeting that are already there. They're kind of splitting the product out for future improvements to go into Zoho Webinar. It is going to be included within Zoho One at their professional licensing level. And really, it looks a lot like Showtime. It's really like
It does.
Showtime minus some of the audience participation and like audience members being able to speak. So it's a little more fine-tuned for a webinar versus like a training, right? If that makes sense. But really nice. I think one of the nice features in here that should help a lot of people is that you can actually stream to a variety of different sources directly through Zoho Webinar. So that's kind of nice. I think, again, at the end of the day, the devil's in the details. We have to see kind of what the recording quality is going to look like for video and audio, right? Because when you record a webinar, you stream it, you do it that first time, that's all fine and well, but you want to have good assets come out the back end that you can then post on YouTube or post into your training tool, however you're using webinars. But good to see them targeting this. It's one of those things that's been a little confusing because it was Showtime and then Showtime went away and then webinar got built into meetings, but now webinar is going to be separate. So they're definitely working their way towards, how they want to structure this, but, onward and upward, right?
Yeah, Showtime kind of got completely replaced with Trainer Central, which was spun off as a completely separate app, separate company, separate brand, all that kind of stuff. Whereas, Showtime, I think it still exists if you were grandfathered in on that with Zoho One, right?
It exists if you had it before.
Right.
They left it in your account, but other than that, it's I don't think available anymore.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to go ahead and replace it with this, or if they leave Showtime and this together. Curious.
Time will tell.
Yeah, I mean, I will tell you one thing on this. Like you said, the devil will be in the details here on the streaming, what they're going to do. We've been playing around with Trainer Central. I'll mention that. We've got some cool stuff coming up. And, Zoho really has got to get their compute up on their bandwidth up and their compute up on their data centers, because it just has trouble just even playing a pre-recorded video. And
and we still have that issue in Zoho Meeting. Brett and I have these big fancy mics here, but when we're in a Zoho Meeting call, you wouldn't be able to tell. You would think we're using, just something on our headphones or something like that. So for streaming, right, if they're going to stream this to YouTube, that's only more resource intensive, right, than just streaming it out to the logged in viewers. So definitely, I think that is where the asterisks on this will be. It's just, what is that quality going to look like at the end of the day? And is that going to be at a level that is workable for you based on how you want to do webinars? If you're doing them for your team,
because
you know what?
Maybe the products are solid, Tyler, right? Yeah. I mean, the products of getting to the point where they are best in class. You would say, my
Not like
gosh,
a
Zoho
feature
Meeting
set
has almost
issue.
all the, what's that?
Yeah. It's not like an issue with feature set anymore, like
Right.
even we were in a Zoho meeting, about a month ago, and I was trying out the virtual background and it was pretty freaking good, right? It
Yeah.
wasn't quite as good as Zoom, but it was dynamic. I didn't have a green screen up. It was doing really well. It's just those base things, the audio quality, the video quality, the screen share, the downloadable assets. It's, we're broken records, but that's really the
Well, and I
things
want to
where
say to
I
Zoho, I
guess
mean,
it's
dude, you
focus.
either gotta increase your data centers, do separate data centers for this, or everything on Zoho likes to live on their internal servers, but maybe they make an exception. And with meeting and webinar and Showtime and Trainer Central, use AWS, use Azure, buy some compute process, put it up there. Then you have best of class apps, and you can even charge a little more for them because then the whole recording, streaming, all that's done. But kudos to I'm guessing, I don't know what team this is, this whole brand new webinar team. And good stuff there. Hopefully though, this doesn't take away too much from what's going to be going on with in Zoho Meeting, because I know it's still going to support webinar, but is it going to be on feature parity, or is it going to kind of go away?
Yeah,
Probably need
that'll
to
be the
make a decision
question.
on that one way or another. All right, moving on. Now we talk about Zoho Meeting. So we got the latest updates to Zoho Meeting, which is also introducing Zoho Webinar. So we covered that. So now we have Zoho Webinar, which is out there. And one of the new things you're going to get inside Zoho Meeting is you can now mirror my video, a huge feature. If you're unfamiliar with this, you can see yourself backwards. If you mirror your video, it's actually like you're in a mirror. It's more like you're used to interacting. So when you go to do your hair, you're pushing it the right direction, not going other ways with it. So this ability to mirror your video is something that I think people would always want in their software. So that's nice in Zoho
Yep.
Meeting.
It's minor, but it does kind of it's like nails on a chalkboard when your face doesn't come back the way you're expecting it to. So definitely nice to have.
Yep. You can retain your original audio settings. You can start meetings using a join link. Again, we talk about this. This is Zoho Meeting getting up to complete parity and just kind of adding all these little features in that you're used to seeing in all of the other little communication apps. And so it's there. So kudos to the team. Software is getting much better. All right, Tyler. And this is kind of cool. It's something we have in CRM, but they didn't have in Bigin, which is pipelines. You want to talk a bit about pipelines, how they work?
Yes, I mean, this is kind of specifically what they're calling team pipelines. And really what they're looking to do is, they rolled out Bigin thinking that it was going to be primarily for like deal flow and sales. But I think what they're finding in surveying some of their customers is that, and even from our opinions as well, honestly, it's just a really nice Kanban tool. Whether you're using it to sell, or if you're watching us on YouTube, you'll see like using it for onboarding, delivery processes, installations, right? Things like that. If you have a process where things need to move through a structured set of stages and send some emails and some tasks, Bigin is well worth looking at. And so here again, benefits to the YouTube viewers. Basically what they're doing here is they're grouping, allowing us to improve the UI around displaying various different pipelines based on like the teams that work them. So like functionally, a deal will move through your pipeline in about the same way. But this is kind of a way to show and display those pipelines separately, where it looks more like something like Monday or, almost like the Connect boards inside of Zoho Connect. So it's kind of a UI update here where you're just able to kind of slice and dice those pipelines a little easier and get to the ones that you need.
Very, very nice. Bigin team keeps rolling along. All righty, and now we've got some new enhancements to Zia. If you're unfamiliar, Zia, and this is inside Zoho CRM. Zia is Zoho's AI, and basically you can type it questions or speak it questions, and it will go and try to give you answers to those questions. And they've got some new filter options that you can put in. Yeah, basically just some minor changes here to Zia, how you're able to filter things.
Similarity, filtering on similarity.
Yeah.
Like
It's got now enrichment history and enrichment usage. So their data enrichment, Zia's ability, it automatically populates records in your CRM with information that it's able to obtain. So you can get some usage statistics on that as well. I find the data enrichment to be very good, by the way. I know that they call it a Zia tool.
Big thing,
Not really sure
the big thing here is really that they're tracking like the history and usage, where previously if somebody used data enrichment to add data to a record, it wouldn't show in the timeline that it was done by Zia. So kind of updating some of the reporting around that, so you know what data is coming in from the enrichment tool.
Good stuff. Anything else is jumping out at you here?
Nothing yet. I mean, as with most of these machine learning things, there's get better and better over time, So I think the trick for users is to come through and maybe see if there's one or two of these that are going to help you out over time. Get those rolling in your system, give it some feedback as you go, and see if it can help you out.
Excellent. All right, Tyler. That's going to wrap up our news. So with that, why don't we get on into the implementation of the week?
Alrighty, so it's an implementation that Bruno and I actually did for one of our customers. And the goal of this implementation is basically to de-anonymize web visitors in SalesIQ via CRM email clicks. And so this is kind of a common thing that we find when we are helping people get on board with SalesIQ, is that it provides a ton of amazing data, right? You can know that visitor 12345 went to this page for 5 minutes and then clicked over here and then looked at this product, and then came back a week later. But the big challenge that a lot of people have is essentially connecting the dots between visitor 12345 and Tyler Colt, who's in my CRM as a lead or a contact. And so essentially what we did here, and from a technical perspective, this is not a very tricky implementation. There's actually some pre-built tools that allow you to do this within Zoho. But I wanted to highlight it anyways, because a lot of people just don't know that this is here. And so what we did is essentially put in some URL parameters into every single link in every single CRM email template, right? So like when that new lead comes in the front door and they receive that first email that says, thanks for getting in touch, please click here if you want to check out our resource library, right? Well, in that link, there are some little identifiers so that when the lead clicks through, we now connect the dots between that CRM lead and that SalesIQ visitor. This allows you to do things like visitor scoring, right? So if you have any type of like outbound prospecting that you're doing, it's super useful for your sales reps to be able to prioritize certain leads based on their engagement, whether that's engagement clicking an email or engagement provided by SalesIQ in terms of visitor scoring and web engagement, which is normally kind of tricky to manage natively just in CRM. So this is one of those things where it's going to take some time, right? Because until one of those leads clicks on a link, you're not going to have them de-anonymized. The only other way would be if they chatted and provided an email address, but not everybody is using SalesIQ for that chat feature. So again, this is one of those things where like early on when you're building out your CRM, if SalesIQ is going to be a part of the equation for you, get in the habit of including these URL parameters, and they'll actually give you an easy way to do it in the email templates when you add a link. Because in the long term, really, like though, from a technical implementation standpoint, this isn't a crazy big lift or anything super complicated. Sometimes the things I share that Bruno built to require insane SQL tables, right? This isn't one of those things. This is one where if you're listening to this, you could probably do this for yourself in your CRM. But it's just going to generate a huge amount of useful data for you as people are clicking through and engaging on your website.
That's nice because, in I think the past, the only way to de-anonymize this was for a person to actually engage with you on chat, right?
Yep.
So this
Exactly.
is huge. Very, very nice. Good job, Tyler. Oh, we're giving everybody credit now, consultants and developers. It's our first time doing that. So good job, Tyler and Bruno. Rock and roll. All right, with that, let's head over to Club Z and see what our code share is. So Tyler, Greg has shared something called sort a list of maps by the value inside the maps. But by maps, he's not really referring to maps, correct?
He's referring to objects that Zoho calls maps. So like when let's say you run in Deluge get all deals today, right? That were created today. That will come back with a list of maps where each deal is one map. This trick that Greg is showing here is actually super useful because it's not obvious how to do this. A lot of the times you have to do very odd, or previously, right, or back when I was maybe a less sophisticated Zoho developer, would have to do some pretty brute force methods to sort lists of data like this. So essentially what he's doing here is he's running through, giving an example of a list. You're basically saying for each of those values in a list, you're going to define something as the sort key, right? And so we can see he's kind of like calling those out. And then you're going to reorder the list based on that sort key. So you should be able to kind of work through it with this example. But again, it's one of those things where when you're writing deluge code, you like know intrinsically that you can do this, but it's really not obvious how exactly to do it. So this is a great one to have here out on the code share, and one that, again, if you are a deluge programmer and you're ever planning on doing like a scheduled function or anything like that, just back pocket this because it's going to come up when you try to work with that data.
And it begs the question, how many maps could a cartographer map if a cartographer could map maps, right?
It's a good question. I don't know.
No, it's kind of a little woodchuck thing there,
No, I got it.
Sort of list of maps by a value inside maps. There's just a lot of maps going on there. You should have made that the title of the show. Should have been something mappy. Would have had to have sung it. All right. And with that, let's move on to our read of the week. What is SMS marketing? Does it work? 4 best practices. I say no and yes. I don't know how I feel about SMS marketing anymore. I think now that the elections are over, I will enjoy some of the SMS marketing that I get. But anyway, so this is an article from Customer Think, and it is by Syed Balki. And he has written an article on basically SMS marketing and putting it together. And, I brought this up. I put this in here because Zoho does support SMS marketing. They support it natively inside campaigns. You can connect it to Twilio. There's a lot of little third-party plugins you can drop over to the CRM. You can do some really interesting things around SMS marketing there. But, I think this guy kind of hits it. If you're going to do a campaign, you got 2 kinds of things you can do: campaigns and transactional, right? And the transactional basically are just, hey, we're doing this, confirm your appointment, here's your shipping notification, that kind of stuff. And then campaigns is where you're hitting people, trying to sell them something, trying to get them to engage. So he's kind of covering, make sure you get everybody to opt in. And that, I think, is the big one right now. I think that SMS spam is becoming a bigger problem than email spam. It seems the way it's going. Keep it short and sweet, personalize your messages, all things, I think, and include a call to action. These are everything you should do in any campaign you ever put together. But if you're going to do them in SMS, just make sure you do them better, I think. So anyway.
I think the trick is to make sure that you're doing it in a space that makes sense and to people that might be receptive to receive that, right? So a good example would be I have a local barber in town, and about every 6 weeks after a haircut, I'll receive a text that says, hey, want to schedule your next haircut? That to me, great, because I'm going to forget to do it. You reminded me. Right. Now I'm not late, and I don't look crazy. But yeah, I think the challenge with any SMS stuff is if you're ever doing it cold, that is where you don't want to be in that space. We've got real estate agents who run very successful outbound SMS campaigns, but it's after an opt-in, right? Correct. It's somebody coming in and saying, I want to rent, send me some potential places to rent. Yes, you can contact me via text. If you have the type of users who are going to want to do that, then it's super effective, right? I mean, there's some stat, I forget the exact number, but it's something like 90% of SMSs are going to be sent or going to be seen within a couple hours of sending them. Whereas plenty of people don't even see many of the emails that come into their inbox. But again, it's just being very, very targeted. And then planning that long-term, you are probably going to lease a short code. I think that law is going to continue to tighten up about any outbound SMS, that it's not going to come from 9-digit numbers or 10 digits. It's going to come from those short codes, which are not cheap. They can run thousands of dollars a month to lease one of those. So make sure that's part of your planning if you want to make SMS a big part of your business.
All righty. And heading over to Zenatta for our read of the week. We've got 4 killer customer service applications. These aren't good applications. These aren't average. These aren't exceptional. They're killer.
They're
It's
straight up
customer
dangerous.
service. They're dangerous. Anyway, these are 4 Zoho apps you can all use for customer service. We've got Zoho Assist. If you're unfamiliar with that, that is one of the applications that allows you to take control of someone's computer and go ahead and guide them through and make modifications that way, push updates. Zoho Desk, probably the ultimate customer service application from Zoho. And by the way, there's integration with all these things. That's their help desk software. We'll talk a little bit about Zoho Lens, which is one of their more unique ones, allows you to turn the mobile phone kind of into a virtual AI to kind of help you. I guess what do you want to call it? Not AI, it's virtual. It's like augmented reality
Kind of
kind
be
of
like
thing,
if you
right?
wanted to have a quick call with your electrician,
Right.
like show a video of your breaker box and have them annotate like which one to switch.
Yep.
It'd be kind of like that, where they're annotating on like your phone video. It's pretty
Yeah.
slick.
It's very cool. And then SalesIQ, which is just such a massive application. You watch one of our videos on it, but it tracks visitors, it's chat, it's all of those kind of things. And so these are the 4 Zoho apps. So kind of just a review of the 4 Zoho apps that are for customer service. And as always, if you head on over to Zenatta.com, that is where we keep all of our resources guide, all of the show notes from any CRM Zen show, all of the events that we talked about earlier. It's all there. And you can also always book a meeting with myself, Tyler, John, or any of us. So we would love to hear from you. And with that, let's head on over to our pick of the week. Well, for longtime listeners, this is probably the last pick of the week. I think going forward, it'll be like, hey, we've got a great pick that we want to share with you, but after 200 and whatever shows, we're running out of picks, man.
Yeah, I think the dieting tool that we did on the Thanksgiving episode was the tipping point where we started thinking, are we out of applications to recommend to people if we're doing those? This one
I
though
think
is
so. But
very
this
cool.
one,
This is
one
actually
of
one.
our consultants,
Cody actually, I think, found this for a client, or they found it and brought it to us. But this is a really cool tool. It's called Qwilr. For those who are in audio, it's Qwilr. It's basically a way to create kind of like a microsite that serves as a proposal. And it's very full featured and very interesting. We've been seeing a lot more demand for these, and this seems like a pretty good option.
Yeah, it allows you to basically create a proposal that is in fact a website that is dynamic, that accepts payment, that you can digitally sign. Really well put together with really good Zoho integration. That's what brought this to us. Is that
They've got a REST API and like a pre-built Zoho integration.
So really, really good stuff. So if you're looking for a really cool, fancy proposal that you want to kind of send out, this is it. This is, I mean, this is a little different. PandaDocs does something very similar, and PandaDocs has really excellent Zoho integration, but it's not necessarily a full-blown website like this is. But anyway, pretty cool. I think we were looking at this, but we do such really dynamic proposal integration all inside of Zoho, integrated with Zoho Sign and all that kind of stuff. This probably isn't for us, but man, it is beautiful. So I got to give them credit for that. So super, super nice job. So check out Qwilr if you're looking for kind of more state-of-the-art active integrated proposals. So good job there. And with that, Tyler, let's move on to the tip of the week, which I believe was from you. Is that correct?
I think so. I'm always out of touch with our schedule nowadays. Yep, this one is from me. So this is a video that we recorded the first 3 things that we do in any Zoho CRM account. A lot of our content historically has been kind of like product overview and going through settings. We're trying to make some content for you guys that's a little bit more directed on like specific things that you can or should do to make Zoho work better for you. This is a very simple one. Everything that's in this list could be set up by just about anybody who'd be listening to this. No code, not even any workflows in here. Really, I'm just running through cleanup things. A lot of the times when we open up a CRM that somebody might have been using for, 5 years, or when they're doing one that is fresh off the gate, never been used before, we'll find that there's a bunch of modules in there that they're not using, right? Maybe all the fields are just in the default layouts, right? Maybe there's no custom views, or there's none of these kind of like baseline things that we like to see to make the system usable. So it's about a 25-minute video. You can kind of do a lot of this as I'm doing it if you wanted to. Um, the last thing I do cover in here is how to set up a basic user profile, because as most Zoho partners would agree, the standard profile that comes out of the gate is basically an administrator. So these are just those core things that we always like to do to make sure that the system is at a good baseline.
And we actually do a write-up on these tips. You can find that over at Zenatta.com. And as always, if you head over to our YouTube channel, YouTube/Zenatta, that is where you will find all of our videos, including this one as well. And we would love it if you would subscribe, ring the bell so you never miss a show, never miss a new video, always get those announcements. But we want to thank you for our support, and that's over at youtube.com/Zenatta. And with that, let's get to our questions. All righty, Tyler, our first question comes from Noah. He watched 3 pro tips for lead conversion mapping in Zoho CRM 2022, and as he is asking, how do I add in a qualification step? I want a lead setter to call a customer and follow a script to ensure each lead is qualified before we move them to an in-home appointment.
Yep.
You think a blueprint
That's a good
here?
question. There's a lot of ways to do it, Noah. It kind of just depends on what part of your process the in-home appointment is. You could do this with a blueprint, right? You could build off of lead stage, right? So like to go from not contacted to qualified, maybe they have to press a button, certain fields come up, right? A lot of people will use blueprints because you can add a little description for like a loose call script. You won't have enough length to really like do a paragraph of a script, but you can definitely give some guidance. Another way to do it, again, this just depends, but like if the rule is converting it creates the in-home appointment, like if that's your conversion point to create a deal, you could make those qualification fields required at the deal stage as well, so that they can't convert the lead and make one without those things being answered. But I would say, yeah, Brett's gut instinct, I think, is step one, to try to blueprint it in the leads, because you can do some nice like required field management, guidance, kind of prompts through that. And then you could also, as a backup plan, make them required on the deal page just to ensure that everything is being filled out.
All righty, thank you, Noah. And then Matt, after watching the Z Portals 2022 thing, says, hey, I saw that with one of the demos you had a learning center, courses, or something like that. Does that mean there is an integration with Zoho Learn or some other LMS tool? Not sure what you're referring to, Matt. I don't think there's anything with Z Portals that comes to the top of my mind
you
here.
can kind of make a custom one to a certain degree out of like CRM records and display it. That might be what John Mark's using as the demo. But Z Portals does not integrate directly to an LMS tool right now.
Yeah. And Zoho Learn is internal. Trainer Central is their external one. Trainer Central does have a big old API, so I imagine it could be done, Tyler, down the road. I don't think there's been much call for it, though. So,
yeah.
Anyway, there you go, Matt. And then Stephanie, after watching Zoho Forums Full Product Overview 2022, says, thanks for the great content. You are welcome, Stephanie. Is there a way for a form to create both a lead and a deal? We have many custom products on our website where a lead or a contact will fill out multiple forms at once or over time, but not sure how to work around this when we have an email field that is a unique field. Tyler?
Yeah, so the trick is, Stephanie, what you want to do, and maybe in our comment response to this, we can include a link to a video. I've got a video on Zoho Flow, kind of like an overview on it, where I go through part of what you're going to need. Because basically what you want to do is, the default integration for forms is going to like point into one module. And so if you pointed it to leads, it will not create a duplicate lead if the email is the same. But what if they're already a contact, right? That's kind of the big gotcha, right, with the default forms integration. But what you can do instead is if you route the form through Zoho Flow, then you can use Zoho Flow to do kind of like a multi-tiered check, right? So check contacts based on email, use a decision. If the responded contact ID is null, go and check leads, right? If that is null, create the lead. Otherwise, like create a deal under the contact, right? Kind of build a little logic tree there. But you're not crazy. The default integration is not really going to let you do this. You'll have to run it through Zoho Flow. And we've got a couple videos on that.
All righty. Shalaka, after watching the CRM integration and sync in Zoho Campaigns, says, how can you sync import your campaigns from Zoho CRM into Zoho Campaigns? We had asked this a lot. They're different. So if you look at Zoho CRM, it's got a module called Campaigns. The campaigns that are in CRM have nothing to do with Zoho Campaigns. But when you integrate Zoho Campaigns into CRM, all the campaigns that are in Zoho Campaigns actually show up under the Campaigns tab in CRM. The difference is that the campaigns over in Zoho Campaigns, those are email campaigns, SMS campaigns, those are all being tracked differently. The campaigns you're seeing inside CRM, although they can be for emails, they're mostly for tracking things like I did a trade show, there's an event, we did a mailing. I mean, it's more like local kind of things you're doing, and it's not really as robust as what you're getting over in campaigns, but they're also different. I mean, we use it for trade shows. I was just looking at Zoholics 2019. We got 75 leads at the booth. They went into the CRM. They got associated with the CRM campaign that was that with the cost. As the deals closed over time, we were able to see what our ROI was on that. But there really is no benefit, and there is no way to push those campaigns over to Zoho Campaigns.
The other kind of way to read the question would be if you're calling like an email template a campaign, and in that case, unfortunately, you can't push those from CRM to campaigns either. You have to recreate them.
Well, so long answer. One of us probably got it right. Probably you, Tyler. You probably read the question the right way. So my last 3 minutes was just a waste, just breath. All right, Andrew, he says, hi, all. I trawled through the Google Sphere, YouTube, and Zoho Premium support, and I'm not having any luck. My business is being set up to auto-assign tags to contacts in CRM based on purchase behavior online. The idea is once that tag is assigned on the contact, then the tag can be called upon in campaigns to send workflow emails. Following from this, when a customer clicks on a link in the email, scoring is applied, and I would like the points to go back into the CRM. No problem. To contribute to the total count of engagement scoring in CRM. In short, I need CRM and campaigns to be in sync with scoring and tags. Then all I need to do is build workflows, lists, and campaigns accordingly. Can this be done?
Yeah.
And if so, how?
Yes. What I like to do.
Got a couple of videos, right?
It should be pretty straightforward. What I like to do here, Andrew, what I'm doing lately is so like with the new CRM to campaign sync, right? You'll sync all your leads, all your contacts into 2 mailing lists. Be sure to include the tags field from CRM and map it to campaigns when you set up those syncs. And that'll make it available there to do your segmentation. Once you have that, right, then really all you'll need to do is, well, it's kind of a 2-step process. What we've been doing, and we'll link a video in our comment response for this, is you can use the tags that they have to run them through a workflow to essentially, or use the tags to put them in a segment, use segment entry to put them in a workflow where you can associate them with the topic. And then you can, drop them into any of the ongoing mail campaigns that you'd like to from there. The flip side is when you go to do the scoring, right, is where it gets a little bit more complicated. One of the nice things with the CRM and campaigns integration is that it actually makes campaigns an option in the native CRM scoring rules. And so you can actually just add them to the CRM scoring rules there, where like an open gets 10, a click gets 20. You don't even really technically need to touch the scoring rules that are in campaigns. So you can actually do it all within the CRM scoring rules. But the trick will just be getting those tags mapped over, using those to create your segments, and then running those segments through the various topic assignments and workflows.
And I think it's kind of important to point out there as well that we have several videos over on YouTube that Wayne has done recently that covered that entire integration, the entire synchronization, all of that kind of stuff. So I think if you find those, that's going to really help you get most.
It's going to get you like 90% of the way there, I would bet.
I think so. All right, everybody, that is a wrap. 50 minutes, not bad considering the amount of news we had this week. Thanks, John, for joining us this week. As always, if you want to get a hold of Tyler or myself, head over to Zenatta.com and you can click on book a meeting. And we would love to have you participate in our online community. That is club.zenatta.com. Head on over there, ask us questions, answer other people's questions. That community is growing and growing every day. And want to thank everybody for your participation there.
And on the website is where you'll find complete episodes of the show, as well as links to all the stories we discussed today. We'd love if you would follow us on your favorite social media platform and subscribe to us here on YouTube, as well as your choice of podcast app. We'll see you next Friday.
Thanks, everyone. All righty. Everybody have a great weekend. We'll see you soon.
Happy Friday.